Hi everyone, this is Cheryl and welcome to my sewing room. This is block number 6 of the Novice Beginners Sampler Quilt 2019. Now this is the last block pattern for this quilt. If you're interested in doing this quilt and you need the supply list and you would like to view the other block patterns, go to the green screen at the end of this video and click on the playlist that is called Novice Beginners Sampler Quilt 2019. Okay, let's get started on block number 6. This is the layout for block 6. Out of fabric A, you'll need 4 3.5-inch squares, 2 4.5-inch squares, fabric B, 2 4.5-inch squares, fabric C, 4 3.5 by 6.5-inch strips. Take your 2 fabric A 4.5-inch squares and your 2 fabric B 4.5-inch squares. On the lightest fabric, no matter which one it is, you're going to draw a line down the center. Okay, and I'm going to show you 2 ways to do this. Let me find my glasses. This is how I've been showing you to do it. You line up your ruler going corner to corner, and then you draw a line, then place your fabric A and B front sides together, and then you would stitch 1/4 inch out from that center line on each side. Okay, that's one way of doing it. Well, a while back I have bought this neat little tool. It's OmniGrid Fons and Porter, and it's a little ruler you use for drawing lines corner to corner. Oops, let me get it more centered. Here we go. So in the middle there is this yellow line, yellow and black line I should say, and you would line that up right on the corners, and then you would draw a line on each side, then stitch right on that line. So there's 2 ways of doing this. I like this. You get better accuracy. So use either method that you like. Once you have your lines or your stitches done, now you're going to cut the block in half, and I'm placing my 1/4 inch line right on one of the stitch lines here. And basically what you're doing is you're just cutting it in half all the way down. Then you would go to your ironing board, and whichever is the lightest side, you're going to have that down. So have the lightest side down, and then you'll, after pressing on the back side, always do that first, unfold and press the seam on top. Whoops, sorry, I keep going out of the camera shot there. And you're pressing this seam towards the darkest side. So you're doing that with both of your fabric A and B 4.5-inch squares. After pressing all your seams, you're going to square all 4 of them to size 3.5 inches square. So on your ruler there's a diagonal line, and I've put little post-its or tape you can put there to indicate where that 3.5-inch area is. So place your diagonal line right over that center seam there, and center this 3.5-inch square area over the block. I'm going to turn this just a little bit, and once you've got it centered, take your time cutting. I can't stress that enough. Alright, now you're going to trim 2 sides. You're going to trim this side and then this side. Now take this corner and turn it over to here. Place your diagonal line back on this center line. Now place your 3.5-inch line here and here right on the 2 previously cut edges. Now I always have you guys cut your fabric just a little bit bigger so you have a lot of room for cutting, because it always comes out a little bit better. And then cut. Do this to all 4 of your squares. Lay your blocks out in this pinwheel pattern here. Then take the 2 blocks up here, bring front sides together. Now you're going to make sure that the seam on the bottom is going in the opposite direction than the seam on top. So they're locked in there real close. You feel nice and flat. Then stitch a 1/4 inch seam along here. Do the same thing with this one. Make sure the seams are going in opposite direction, and then stitch 1/4 inch. Then you're going to press your seams on the back side always, and then when you open them up, you're going to make sure that you've got the seams going in the opposite direction. This one here is going this way to my left, and this one is going towards my right. So now let me turn these back over. Now take this row and bring it on top. And again, bring those seams real close together. Make sure the one on the bottom is going in the opposite direction than the one on top. Pin your seam right there so it doesn't shift when stitching. And then stitch a 1/4 inch along there. After stitching all the squares together, then press on the back side, unfold, and press on top, and make sure that this seam here is going all in one direction all the way across. Now you're going to square it to 6.5 inches. You want to make sure that that's what it is. So here is my diagonal line here. I am going to place it on one of the diagonal lines on the block. I've also got my 6.5 inch square area here on my 12.5 inch square ruler marked off so I don't get confused as to where I'm going to cut. And center your ruler, that 6.5 inch square area, over your block. All right. Now mine came out a little crooked on one side. Don't worry, we'll get it all to work out as you see as we go along. Okay, so I'm going to trim some off of this side over here. And then I got a little bit over here I need to trim off. Then I'll take this corner and bring it over to there. Line up your ruler again. So place the 6.5 inch line here and here on the 2 previously cut edges here and here. So I'm going to line it up, and again, always take your time, because you don't want to go to all this trouble and then you cut it wrong. So take your time. We're not running a race. Okay, so now this one is a little crooked, but as I told you, we're going to fix things as we go along. So cut this side, and I got a little bit right here, and cut. And so now we need to go on and add the border around the block. Take the fabric C 3.5 by 6.5 inch pieces and put it on opposite sides of the block. And stitch 1/4 inch there. Remember, do it on both sides. Then press both seams on the back side. Then unfold, press it on top. And you're pressing the 2 seams right here towards the outside strips. Once that is completed, then take your fabric A and the other 2 fabric C pieces and stitch the squares on each side of that fabric C. Then take it, bring it face down on opposite sides, and you're going to match these seams up. Make sure the seam on the bottom is going in the opposite direction than the seam on top. Always place a pin there to hold that seam so that it doesn't shift while stitching. You do it on both, and then after you've got it all pinned, you're going to stitch a 1/4 inch seam right along here. And then you're going to take your last one and do the same thing. I forgot to mention one step. Before you put this piece on each side, you need to press these 2 little seams right here. So always press them on the back. Then you're going to press the seams going towards this piece here. So when you match them up with the center block, it should all match up correctly. After you have these 2 sides stitched on, then press the seams on the back side, then unfold and press on top. Now it's time to square this block to 12.5 inches square. So take your 12.5 inch square ruler and you're going to place it over the top of your block. And I'm just going to turn it just a little bit so it's easier for me to cut. And always center it. Take your time. You've done all this work. You don't want to mess it up. So now you just need to make sure that it's lined up. And then once you have it lined up, then go ahead and trim anything that is sticking out. And I just got little pieces here and there on each side. So after you've got those 2 sides, then take this corner and bring it around over to here. Now you're going to put the edge of your ruler on the 2 previously cut edges. And line it up. Again, take your time. Once you have it lined up, then go ahead and trim anything off. Like I said, on this one I just got a few little pieces here and there. Okay. And now you're done with block number 6. Remember to make 2 blocks using this block pattern and try to use different fabrics in each block. If you are interested in the supply list for this quilt, go to the green screen at the end of this video and click on the playlist that is called Novice Beginners Sampler Quilt 2019. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, click on thumbs up and click on share to share this video with your friends. And if you haven't subscribed yet, click on that red subscribe button down there in the lower right-hand corner of your screen. Don't forget to enter your email address and click on that little bell so that you'll receive email notifications when my latest video has been released. I'm Cheryl and I'm so glad you came to my sewing room. I'll see you next time and happy sewing!